Netflix, Mr. Black, has canned another new series after a single season. Stop if you've heard this before. But this one is 1899. I saw 1 or 2 episodes and watched it. It was okay. Oh, I didn't think it didn't blow my fucking hair back if I had any, but it was okay. But at the same time, I guess I'm not shocked that Netflix once again has swooped in and given something exactly 1 season to come out and be God, and just immediately take over the world. So yeah, they canned that. And so my question to you, Mr. Black, as I have here in my notes, the way that I look at it is that loads of the greatest television shows or movie or multi-part movies in terms of series and stuff, but especially in this instance because it's more about a show, many of the best have had mediocre to poor first seasons. And then like the second, third season, they go on to be the greatest fucking shows that people will ever talk about. Not even Game of Thrones had a particularly fucking incredible first season. It was just okay. It got people talking mostly because they subverted expectations with the death of one of the primary characters right out of the gate, and then everyone went, what the fuck is supposed to happen? Even though it was Sean Bean and everyone should have fucking just known ahead of time that Sean Bean was going to die, but nevertheless, that was what got it, because otherwise it was just okay. The writing was just okay. The acting was just okay. Everything was just kind of okay, and then it went on to be monolithic fucking, a generational TV show. Very few of the biggest, let's say the US version of The Office. If you've ever watched the first season of that, it's dog shit. It's literally fucking terrible. And then if you were somebody that liked The Office at any point in time after that, they had several of amazing seasons, and it's one of the longest running, most popular comedy shows to have ever been done. There's lots of instances of exactly this. So my question to you, Mr. Black, is, do you think that Netflix doing this is sustainable, or do you think this is going to bite them in the ass? And do you think that they're missing out on possibly great shows because they're just not giving them enough room to breathe before they cut them out?
Yes, and yes. So I'm just yes in all 3 of those, because I didn't watch 1899. I heard good things about it. It's the same makers of Dark. And apparently Dark is one of the best shows ever made, ever. I haven't watched it because it was subtitled in a different language, I guess multiple languages. I'm still gonna get around to watching it because I've literally heard it's like a sci-fi type. I don't even know. I didn't even dig into it because I just didn't want to be spoiled. So there was a lot of hype around this, and apparently the season is good. It's supposed to be really good. But they're canceling it. And where do I start? The model that they have, Netflix is just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. But the thing is what sticks to them is not what sticks to us. For the most part. Yeah, they've got Stranger Things. That's been a big, huge success, and it's one of the few shows that they're on season 5, going on season 5 or something like that now.
Yeah.
And I only watched the first season of Stranger Things, so I checked out of that a long time ago. Kayla still watches it; she enjoys it. But that's something she'd watch while I'm down here doing this. The thing is people got to understand is Netflix is not your standard cable television. It is not, okay, we're going to play Big Bang Theory, and Big Bang Theory does really well, and people like it, so we're going to keep renewing this. For Netflix, it's all about subscriptions. That's it. There's nothing else. And they have certain metrics that if a specific show is not signing people up, they're just not renewing it. It doesn't matter how good the show is and how well it does. It needs to be a show that keeps people on the platform and then also gets people to sign up to watch said show. And obviously, 1899 is not performing the way that they would want to. And yeah, it's got a great critic score. It's got a great audience score. We're not denying that. But Netflix isn't in the business of just creating shows that people like. They're in the business of creating shows that hopefully people will like, but will also sign up to watch and stay on the platform to watch indefinitely. It's the reason why, Karate Kid continues, or Cobra Kai continues to get more and more and more seasons, even though I think that show, like, I'm pretty much out now.
It's getting a little long in the tooth.
I'm out. So, like, next season, I'm not watching. Not because I don't think not because I think the show is bad. It's just, it's run its course.
They're stretching it a little thin.
Like, yeah, it's just the same storylines. It's the same shit over and over and over again. But obviously that show is signing people up. That show is keeping people on the platform. And they have metrics and analytics that they know what is what. When people sign up, what's the first thing they're going to? They do questionnaires, they find out what's hot, what's not. And just because people like $18.99 doesn't mean that people are on Netflix for $18.99. And unfortunately, they're just because of that, we're seeing casualties of good shows. Do I think it's going to hurt them in the long run? I do. I think it will hurt them in the long run simply because of this. I think that people are going to stop watching these Netflix original shows and not even give them a chance because they've been burned so many times.
Like, they're scared. They're like, I'm going to get invested in this.
Correct.
And it's just going to get canceled on the other side of it.
Correct. So even if the show is good and you want to stay on the platform for it, you won't even know because, like, it's that thing. Like, you've got that ex that, like, if you go over their house, you're smashing, and you already know what it's going to be like. But you also know, like, that ex, guy or girl or whatever, they're going to go batshit crazy on you. And they're going to, like, start calling you all the time and think that you're back in a relationship. And the reality is you just want to stick your tip in something. And you want to stick your tip in something familiar. But they're only interested if they want to be in a long-term relationship with you. And that's basically what Netflix is. They want a long-term relationship with you and your money. And there's so many different streaming services out there that they need to make sure that you are addicted to a specific product. Because when you think about it, every streaming service that you are part of right now, there's probably a show or likely a show or a series, mini series, whatever. Or maybe it's like with HBO Max or whatever, when they announce they're putting all their movies on HBO Max. Some people got it for that. But for the most part, if you're on Netflix, Amazon Prime, Prime's a little bit different, Prime Video, because a lot of people already have Amazon Prime. So, like, you're just kind of getting it because you got it anyway.
It's a benefit.
Right? It's a benefit. But we'll say HBO, we'll say Peacock, we'll say ESPN Plus, whatever. Most people, if they're really honest with themselves, they're there for a specific show or a specific series that got them there. And then it just so happens that they have so much shit on there that you just continue to watch stuff until the next season of whatever, and then nothing else matters on the platform. Once that thing comes out, you're watching it. Like, for me, HBO is Game of Thrones. That's it. I still have HBO. I don't watch HBO. I could cancel my membership and save $20 a month, which I probably should do. But, like, I only really watch HBO for very specific movies, or Game of Thrones. That's pretty much it. Netflix, I've always just sort of had Netflix, but I got into Netflix because of specific shows that they had at one point. So those shows, they're not a part of it anymore, but I've been in that infrastructure now for so long that they have me now, right? Like, it's just become part of my everyday life, right? Disney Plus, it's for my son. It's for the Disney movies, the classics, that sort of stuff. And they're trying to find things, and for Netflix, for a lot of people, it's Stranger Things. It just is. They gotta have it at least for that. They're like, oh fuck, if it wasn't for Stranger Things, I'd fucking get rid of this fucking dog shit. Tons of people think that way. I don't think that way personally anymore, but the vast majority of people do. And I just think Netflix is just in a different business than your traditional media, like your traditional TV shows that have ratings and whatnot. And they do put that in, like they do have Netflix ratings. You see what people are watching the most and what they aren't. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it will have another season or a spinoff, right? So I do think it's hurting them in the long run. I don't trust Netflix at all. It's the reason why I haven't watched 1988 yet, because of that. It's the reason why I haven't watched Sandman yet, is because of that.
Oh, Sandman was so good too. If they canceled that, I'd be so fucking...
Along with a slew of other shows. This is the reason why I haven't started it yet. But they are shows I'm intrigued and interested in. So when the time comes, I'll get on it. It's the same thing with like The Witcher, right? So The Witcher comes out. I was hard on that. Now that Henry Cavill's gone and they put out that new Witcher spin-off bullshit.
Bombed.
Oh, bad. And now Henry Cavill's gone. Dude, I'm giving you a hot take. They're going to have one season without Cavill. Without Cavill.
Yeah.
And it's game over.
It's gone.
Show's done.
Oh, for sure.
It's done. It's over. So, yeah, I mean, it is a problem, but I get it. They're running a business, and they're running a subscription business, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah, it's true. So, like in traditional television, you get a little bit more air to breathe because highly rated shows can get watched a bit more, and you're selling advertising space essentially. Whereas the model is, even though they're talking about bringing in advertisements, supported tier, it's largely subscriptions. You have to convert subscriptions and keep them long term. It can't just be a one-time, kind of deal. And you don't necessarily want to get into a situation where you're only getting people coming back for short stints and then they finish their show and then they cancel their sub and then they're back. You want to keep them long term. So yeah, it's they're walking this tightrope between how much investment can we put into any given show and how much runway can we give it before we say that they've run out of runway and we have to can it and move on to the next thing to try and find something. But they have kind of, like, in my opinion, they've stuck themselves in a really shitty corner where now, like, and to build on what you said, like, you haven't watched some of the best shows and more popular shows on the platform because you're afraid of getting burned. And that's a sentiment that a shitload of people hold. And that number is only going up. And so eventually what that's going to do is going to create a situation where they're canning a show where people didn't watch it because they were ironically afraid that they were going to can it. And so they're reading it as it's not going to be popular. And so it goes away. And so I feel like this strategy only works until they reach some sort of critical mass with the number of people who aren't watching those shows because they're afraid that it's going to get canned. And then they're going to be throwing like the baby out with the bathwater, which is why I think that if, and I'm obviously, I'm a balding dude in my mother's basement right now. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But if I was running the show, I would maybe say, okay, well, we do have to kind of, yes, throwing stuff at a wall until it sticks is a viable strategy. And yes, we have the investment money and time to kind of use that right now to try and find as many shows that do create like a Stranger Things phenomenon where we can keep people for long periods of time. But maybe now it's better that we simply scale back a little bit the volume of shows that we're producing and give the shows that we do produce 2 seasons to find out if they're going to be popular enough to can or not, and then make that decision. Because I feel like, because we know historically very, very few, that's lightning in a bottle situation, single season, first time, smash hit takes over the fucking world, almost never happens. And so maybe it's scale back, focus on higher quality for 2 seasons, spend the same amount of money on less shit, and then can after that, because they will, like, I think they are going to start throwing the baby out with the bathwater, where they'll have too many people that are like, I can't watch this because if I get invested, I've heard it's really fucking good, but if I get invested, I'm fucked, and I've been burned before.
They're literally going to have to start if they've got like a hit on their hands. they're gonna have to part of their marketing is gonna be like, it's so damn good that Netflix has already greenlit another season. You know, before it even comes out. Like, they got to create that type of hype.
Like, holy shit.
Like, it's so good that you guys don't have to worry. It will not be canceled from season 1. We're already shooting season 2. It's greenlit. So, but that's also a risk because they might have a good show, but they've only got so many dollars to spend per year, right? So, like, it's like, do I give these guys another $30 million to go and film a second season, or do I take this $30 million and give it to Dwayne The Rock Johnson to be in another fucking generic ass film? But we have Dwayne The Rock Johnson representing Netflix, and people are going to tune in. Like, every mom in America is going to tune in to go watch Dwayne The Rock Johnson, you know, flex his pec muscles,
put on a khaki colored t-shirt, and
so, you know, it's just one of those things. But we'll see. Netflix is just a weird. It's still burning money. It's I don't. I'll be honest. I don't fully get Netflix. Like, I get it, but I don't know what their end goal is here, and they're gonna have to make some kind of changes at some point because this company will go bankrupt. Keep going the way that it's going.
Do you think that despite the scale and the popularity and the ubiquity of Netflix as a platform, that the people at the top are still looking at it in the way of that they're just doing this to get an exit? Do you think that's their? Do you think that's where they're?
So.
Do you think that they're going to try and stand on their own and not sell to somebody else? Or do you think that this is still kind of like a long play for burning venture capital until somebody comes in and says, yeah, you're worth being bought?
It's possible. I mean, it's possible. But I don't know. I actually just don't have the answer. It's not like Netflix is going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah.
But, like, holy shit, man. Like...
it can go longer or it can be shorter, depending on how they navigate those waters.
I think it'll be here for at least another decade, I would say. But the thing is like, in a decade, where will it be? It's either going to continue to be a juggernaut, in terms of, like, the streaming sphere. Like, it became a saying, like, Netflix and chill. You know what I mean? Like, it is part of our lives and have been for a long time. You know, they basically they're the new Blockbuster of our generation, but we all know what happened to Blockbuster, right? And things are different for Amazon. Things are different for HBO. Things are different for Disney Plus. They kind of move at their own.
They exist in different markets before they entered, so they have fallback plans. Netflix is just Netflix.
Netflix is Netflix, and that's that, right? And as more streaming services come out, more of the exclusive stuff is going to very specific studios and very specific streaming platforms. Before, Netflix was everything. You'd have Disney on Netflix, you'd have fucking Fox on Netflix, you'd have everything on Netflix because it was like the only thing. But now they all want their own fucking streaming service. And so now you got to rely heavily on Netflix originals. And they're paying shit tons of money for these original films. I mean, they paid $100 million for Knives Out. Knives Out.
Which, thankfully, to this point, has actually been paying off to some degree.
Yes, and they paid $100 million just for Daniel Craig and fucking Ryan Johnson.
That's the entry. That's the
entry. They spend hundreds of millions of dollars on these Knives Out shits. And yeah, okay, it's good and people are enjoying it. I can get it. But, like, holy fuck, these guys burning money. Burning it. There ain't not a fucking chance in hell Knives Out has made them a return on their money. There isn't a fucking chance in hell. I'm sorry.
No, but like you said, it's clearly it's a thing to get people on the platform.
Correct. They're getting people on the platform. Now people get to look forward to the next one. They know it's coming. They already know, right? So, like, I get what they're doing. They're keeping people on the platform and they're putting out quality stuff, like things like that. But they're paying hundreds of millions of dollars to get it. Like, holy fuck. This isn't a Marvel movie. This isn't like an end of phase 4 film. This is an Avatar. It's Knives Out. I just don't know how they can continue to do this stuff in the long term, but who knows?
Who knows? We'll see what happens.